Every river starts with a droplet, even the world's longest. The White Nile rises here, deep in the heart of East Africa, in the Rwenzori Mountains and the Nyungwe Forest in Rwanda. The journey the emerging river now takes is an adventure. A tale of vast lakes, foaming rapids, and the last untamed landscapes of Africa. The river flows through the impenetrable swamps of the South Sudan, where the White Nile almost vanishes, and finds a new lease of life with the water from the Ethiopian mountains, the cradle of the Blue Nile. The mountain waters carry the Nile through the Great Desert, past ancient cities and temples, to its final destination, the Mediterranean Sea. In the end, the Nile has traveled almost 7,000 kilometers, making it the world's longest river, the ultimate river. On the banks of the River Nile sits the vast city of Cairo, the capital of Egypt. Cairo is surrounded by desert, making the Nile a crucial lifeline for one of the world's largest cities. Some 25 million people live, work, buy and sell, eat and drink in the conurbation. They all depend on the Nile for water. The Nile has fostered cultures for thousands of years. But where does this fantastic river come from? When the pyramids were built 5,000 years ago, the Egyptians believed the Nile was a gift from the gods. No wonder the Nile was considered divine. Back then, the river's sources lay in uncharted territory, impossible and beyond all imagination. Cairo is close to the Nile Delta, just 120 kilometers from the Mediterranean coast. But the headwaters of the Nile are almost 7,000 kilometers south of the Delta in East Africa. There are countless sources located between Lake Victoria, its tributaries, and the mountains of the Western Rift Valley. The valley is flanked by the mysterious Rwenzori Range. The blanket of clouds lifts briefly, revealing some of the highest peaks in Africa. The glaciers in this range are one of the Nile's most important water sources. Even the ancient Greeks knew about snow-capped mountains in the heart of Africa. On the world's earliest maps, they called them the Mountains of the Moon. The Ruwenzori Mountains are on the border between Uganda and the Congo. Mount Stanley stands guard over the Nile's sources. The taller of its twin summits is Margarita Peak, 5,109 meters above sea level. The mountains trap humid air from the Congo basin to be transformed into snow and icy water. The local people are called Batori, and their word for Ruwenzori means rainmaker. The cradle of the Nile is surrounded by a magical forest. The whole area is protected by a national park that extends into the tropical valleys. Giant groundsels rise up from the swampy soil. They can easily reach 6 meters in height, but they are dwarfed by the giant lobelia. Lobelias grow a single rosette that will produce a gigantic flower stem up to 7 meters tall. At this height, lobelia are the only plant species to produce nectar. There are flies, but no proper insects to pollinate them. For this task, the plant has acquired the help of a colourful personality: the lobelia scarlet-tufted malachite sunbird. The scarlet-tufted sunbird flashes its iridescent colours. The lobelia is its tree of life, providing essential nourishment. This high up the mountains, they are the only plants providing nectar. In exchange, the bird pollinates the plant. The giant groundsels are an ideal home for the sunbirds. Because they don't shed their dead leaves, they provide a place to seek refuge from the cold and rain. After the rainy season, the females arrive. They live in the lower altitudes where the living is easier. They're here now to find a mate. The female chooses based on how long the male's tail feathers are, and by how well he can defend his lobelia flowers. The courtship begins with birdsong. Trembling and vibrating is part of the ritual. The mating ceremony consists of artistic flights in tandem. The groom proudly presents its scarlet tufts, a distinctive feature of the species. The females build their nests in the thickest of the giant groundsels. As soon as the offspring are ready to fly, the females return to the warmer climate of the lower regions. But the males stay with the lobelias to defend their territory. Each day a summer, each night a winter, they say about the climate high up in the mountains. The Nile is a river of tropics and deserts, but gathers its strength from the cold. So the plants need to cope with the sub-zero temperatures. Hairy leaves trap in a warm layer of air like a warm winter coat. Other species produce their own kind of antifreeze. Every drop of water from the Ruwenzori Mountains belongs to the Nile, no matter how hard it tries to escape. Water that evaporates from the river is trapped by the mountains. It rains down again, forming thousands of tiny streams. Ultimately, all the water plunges from the alpine region into a mountainous forest. Below 4,000 meters, the mountain streams are lined with gnarled trees, overgrown with beards of lichen and mosses. The landscape is covered in heather, not an ordinary one, but a truly spectacular member of the family. All over the world, heather is a common sight. But in the Ruwenzori range, it grows into trees, 15 meters tall, a true fairy tale forest. But disasters in paradise are possible. A blaze has ripped through the trees, trailing destruction behind it. Rain seems constant in the Nile headwaters, but in dry years, it doesn't take much to ignite a raging fire that sweeps through the desiccated forests and swamps. In the middle of the devastation, a rare sight. The Ruwenzori red duiker. These small forest antelopes are found only in the Ruwenzori Mountains. Their preferred habitat is above 3,000 meters. Their shy and elusive nature means we know little else about them. It will take decades until the burned forest will look as magnificent as this one. Below 3,000 meters, the Nile leaves the cold mountain landscape and enters dense evergreen rainforests. Even before it becomes a mighty river, the Nile sustains a vast variety of species. The rainforest here is full of birds and predators. A green bush viper patrols the branches. Birds are certainly on his menu. This beauty is the double-collared sunbird, unique to the upper headwaters of the Nile. But it's chameleons that truly surprise us here. The Ruwenzori side-striped chameleon is a true mountaineer. You find it at up to 4,000 meters above sea level. At these kind of altitudes, eggs laid on the cold ground would perish. But these chameleons give birth to fully developed live young. The Ruwenzori three-horned chameleon is unique to the mountains of East Africa. It is a mountain specialist as well, only found above 1,000 meters. And the rare Ruwenzori plate-horned chameleon is endemic to these mountains. After sunrise, the chameleons emerge from their hiding places, collect heat, and change color. A little sunlight turns their brown pajamas into a bright green tracksuit. Sharp eyesight and a ballistic tongue with a suction cup on top are the chameleon's strongest weapons. Tongues longer than their own bodies hit the insects in under 1/10 of a second. For flies, there is only one safe place. The loudest animal in the jungle is the turaco. Easy to hear, but hard to find as it lives high in the canopy. The great blue turaco can grow as big as a goose. The rainforest uses the birds as gardeners. They eat fruit, but the seed capsules remain intact. The birds scatter the seeds throughout the forest, helping trees reach new areas. Great blue turacos are widespread in the forests of Uganda. Unlike the Ruwenzori turaco, these are even harder to spot. Their dark plumage makes them hard to see. Their blue relatives form large, noisy groups, but the Ruwenzori turacos live alone or in pairs. The key to spotting them is to find their favorite tree when it's in fruit. The shy Ruwenzori turaco only lives in the Albert Rift, a part of the Great East African Rift Valley. Here, two continental plates came together, lifting the river source and creating the Ruwenzori Mountains. Now the water from the Ruwenzori travels through the forests and gathers in the rivers and lakes at the foothills of the mountains. The biggest is Lake Edward, part of the Queen Elizabeth National Park. Herds of buffalo call the rich park grasslands home. This fertile landscape was once a cauldron of active volcanoes. The lava cooled long ago, but the craters remain, creating one of Africa's most stunning landscapes. The headwaters of the Nile cover an area of thousands of square kilometers. In the west, the sources feed Lake Edward and continue to Lake Albert to finally enter the Nile. Despite the many sources, geographers have pinned down the Nile's birthplace to one particular spot. The source furthest away from the Nile Delta lies in Rwanda's Nyungwe National Park. Nyungwe is a cloud forest. It rains here virtually every day. The water on the western side of the mountain drains into the Congo Basin. The eastern side flows into the Nile. And here, 2,700 meters up, is the official source of the Nile. This tiny trickle is where it all begins. Each droplet would travel to the Mediterranean Sea, forming the world's longest river. From source to sea, through crooks, bends, and intricate loops, the Nile covers a distance of exactly 6,650 kilometers. Nyungwe National Park is a treasure trove of rare plant and animal species. The Rwanda of old is still alive here. The Intore is a famous local ritual. The key part of this dance is performed by young men. In times past, these were the king's best warriors. Nowadays, long grass wigs replace the traditional headgear, which used to be made from the skin of a coveted hunting trophy, the Angola colobus. The colobus are extremely lightweight and truly acrobatic. They avoid ground level and tend to live in the canopies. Angola colobus always move in troops, but in Nyungwe National Park, troops are unusually large, up to 400 animals. The young are born with white fur, which draws the mother's attention. As they grow, their fur color changes. When this happens, they're ready to be independent. This young monkey's fur has already turned to gray. Leaves are the staple diet. Not the most nutritious foodstuff. But the colobus monkey's stomachs have several compartments. These help break down the leaves. So for them, the high canopy provides plenty of food. Far below, the forest floor crawls with a merciless army. Driver ants. They devour anything that crosses their path. Female worker ants go to battle for food. The front line ferries captured bounty back to the nest, moving against the flow. Soldier ants protect the workers. Their massive jaws can inflict extreme pain. Even humans flee these tiny, vicious warriors. In fact, driver ants are the most important carnivores and scavengers in the whole of East Africa. Driver ant biomass is larger than all of the mammals of the forest combined. There can be tens of millions of ants in just one of these raids. The forest is surrounded by tea plantations. Every square meter is cultivated. Rwanda is actually a very densely populated country. The national park is a rampant jungle island in a sea of arable land. Primates like the Angola colobus could not survive outside the park. Apart from timber plantations, few trees are left. The national park is home to 13 species of primates, including red-tailed monkeys. This particular red-tailed monkey is a real character with an incredible story. Red-tailed monkeys often live in harmony with colobus, sharing a territory peacefully. But this male seems to have left his troop and embraced a group of colobus as its new family. Rangers claim the red-tailed monkey is now leading the group. The park's primatologists are not so sure. The gang are out on the prowl. They're at the edge of a tea plantation, waiting for the workers to pass. Have the gang developed a taste for tea leaves? The workers don't notice the monkeys advancing. It's a test of courage for the monkeys. They're at home in the forest canopies and rarely set foot on the ground. It seems clear. The red-tailed monkey is the commander-in-chief. He leads the hesitant colobus into the plantation. The workers don't seem to mind them, because the monkeys have a different goal: eucalyptus trees on the far side of the plantation. They make it. Operation Eucalyptus is a success. Australian eucalyptus grows fast. It's cultivated as timber throughout Africa, but our gang appreciates it for different reasons. Each member fights for its share of the delicious bark. An unusual sight. African monkeys cling to an Australian eucalyptus tree like koalas enjoying their spoils. Before the plantation owners arrive, the monkeys flee to the safety of the forest. Back in the canopy, they are out of harm's reach. The Nile leaves Nyungwe forest quietly, by way of little streams, dripping moss, and enchanted rivers. After many detours and meanders, the water finally flows from the Great Rift Valley east. It is captured by the Kagera River. The wide river crosses the border regions between Rwanda, Tanzania, and Uganda, before emptying into the mighty Lake Victoria. This vast expanse of water is Africa's biggest lake and the Nile's largest reservoir. Fed by thousands of streams and rivers, this massive lake supports 30 million people along its shores. Lake Victoria is home to a wonder of the natural world only discovered in the 1930s. And we only have to look in the shallow sandy bays and on the island's rocky shores. Cichlids, a common fish. But the miracle is their stunning diversity. Just a few species evolved into roughly 500, adapting to every ecological niche in the lake. In this species, the bright orange males court the pale green females. They have solved a problem: the lack of safe places to nest. The females hold the fertilized eggs in their mouths. Even when they hatch, the fry stay in their mother's mouth, giving them an extra 8 precious growing days. Many of the lake's cichlids are under threat. Lake Victoria has been ravaged by a voracious predator, the Nile perch. In the 1950s, the perch was introduced into Lake Victoria as a commercial fish stock. With no natural predators, they multiplied, and fast. Within 50 years, native cichlids numbers were down to 10%, devoured by one species of fish. Lake Victoria is the size of Ireland, making this carnage an unprecedented disaster. But the local fishermen take a different view. They use the cichlids as bait. The Nile perch means real cash in their pockets. The shores of Lake Victoria are lined with fish processing plants, and the buyers pay well. In the 1990s, the Nile perch triggered a gold rush. Having created this monster, humans rushed to cash in. On islands like Kimi, a piece of land is now a rare commodity. Makeshift huts were hastily built. There's no sewage or waste disposal. New islanders live in a ghetto far from their native villages. The women carry daga to the shore, a sardine-like fish caught in the night. The daga are a useful source of protein and can be sold for animal feed. But perch make the big bucks. The Nile perch brought cichlids to the brink of extinction, while local people made a decent living. But already the good times seemed to be fading. 20 years ago, a 50-kilo fish like this was nothing special. Today, the fish stocks of Lake Victoria have declined dramatically due to overfishing, both in number and in size. At the weekend, the fishermen come to Kampala to sell their catch. The factory buyers want large fish to produce bone-free fillets. Big fish are scarce, and so in demand. Less big fish means many factories now have to cut down on production. Tilapia, catfish, and smaller perch sell to the locals. For those local markets, the Nile perch is of little importance, as they are exported. But the trade with perch has brought a great windfall and created employment. Catfish and tilapia can't sustain this industry. Lake Victoria needs a profound change, a new survival strategy. When the first Nile perch were introduced into Lake Victoria, Uganda was home to 8 million people. Today, it is 34 million. The need for housing is growing. Heavy metals and sewage are polluting the lake. Near the shores, algae multiply, causing the oxygen levels to drop. Water hyacinths from South America, originally introduced for garden ponds, were flushed into the lake and have overgrown entire bays. The green blanket kills all life beneath it. But there is also good news. Biologists from the National Fisheries Institute regularly go out onto the lake to check fish stocks. They confirm what the fishermen have come to fear. The Nile perch have become smaller and fewer. But as the perch trade diminishes, a new dawn has arisen for smaller fish. Among them, the cichlids. The tide has turned. The economy suffers, but suddenly there is hope for previously endangered species. The water quality by the shore may be poor, but the rest of the lake is recovering. For instance, near the Sesi Islands in Uganda. Some islands here are sparsely populated, others completely uninhabited. The shores are full of life. The shallow water is an ideal nursery for fry and reptiles. In the branches, thousands of birds tend their nests. A colony of village weavers lives here. Village weavers are Africa's master craftsmen. They collect the material for their intricate nests from the shrubs and meadows on the lake shore. In the mating season, the males are easy to identify by their bright yellow plumage. The female's plumage is a plain yellowish green. The males build their nests with purpose. They want to impress the females. The base for the vertical stalks consists of a skillfully woven mesh of knots and loops. The males show a preference for the green grass, a more flexible choice when weaving. Still, a little practice is needed before it becomes easy. Privacy and distance to the neighbors seem to be of minor importance. The ground is populated by waders, such as the water dikkop and the quaint hammerkop. The hammerkop feasts on fish and reptiles, but only up to a certain size. The Nile monitor can grow up to a length of 2 meters. The pied kingfisher is on guard. The monitor could find her nest and her precious eggs. But the lizard swims straight past. Dark clouds are hovering above the lake, several hundred meters up like smoke from distant fires. But these are clouds of flies, billions of them. They're so-called dancing swarms. The males rise and fall, producing a humming noise to attract females. They mate in the air, creating a mesmerizing spectacle. As the heat dies down in the late afternoon, the islanders come to life. The Dagar fishermen prepare their boats and lamps for the nightly hunt for those little sardines. A medicine man pays a visit, with musicians and assistants. For good money, he treats the islanders' illnesses, establishes contact with their ancestors, and predicts the future. The fragrance of frankincense and medicinal herbs mingles with the aroma of smoked fish. The islanders smoke tilapia for the local markets and for their own use. The medicine man is a doctor and a sorcerer combined. He cures illnesses, but also communes with the ancestral spirits. The cockerel will decide on the young fisherman's future. If he flies away, it's a bad omen. If he stays, all will be well. The young man is lucky. The cockerel stays put. The fishermen set out to cast their nets. Their lamps will attract the fish at night. At dusk, Lake Victoria is how it used to be, the epitome of mysterious Africa. Not a modest trickle, but foaming rapids. In the northwest of Lake Victoria, the Nile bursts into life, cascading over foaming rapids on its way north. From here, the mighty Nile begins its adventurous journey into the heart of one of the last untamed river landscapes in Africa. Flowing northeast, the Nile's headwaters create Africa's biggest lake. At Lake Victoria, the river begins its legendary journey. Leaving the lake, the Nile bursts into life and transforms into the mighty river of legends. Young and wild, the Victoria Nile rushes into foaming rapids, plunging downward into pools below. From Uganda's Murchison Falls National Park, the river embarks on an adventurous journey through one of the last untamed African landscapes. The river enters South Sudan and turns into Africa's largest swamp, the Sud. Over 1 million antelope hide in the water maze of the Sud. From the source in East Africa to the Sudanese deserts, the Nile runs through vast stretches of wilderness. Once past the waterfalls, the Nile continues serenely through Uganda's largest national park. Hippos stand guard over the river's journey. The animals are like the Nile, slow, tenacious, and unpredictable. Watching them as they doze peacefully in the water, it's hard to believe that these are some of Africa's most dangerous animals. Only 150 years ago, the banks of the Nile were unspoiled, stretching from Lake Victoria to Egypt's distant deserts. The Nile crocodile has been the river's symbol since the dawn of time. The ancient Egyptians worshipped it as a deity. The national park is inhabited by some of the largest crocodiles in Africa. Many grow up to a length of 5 meters and more. More than 400 bird species breed and hunt along the Victoria Nile. African skimmers migrate within the continent. They stop here to rest and feed. A flock of skimmers is hunting for fish. The bottom half of the bird's beak is considerably longer than the top. The longer part is used like a spoon to scoop small fish from the water. A unique and rare stalk-like species hides in the high papyrus plants, the shoebill. Its habitat is limited to a few African marshlands. These abdims are closely related to the European storks. Alarmed, they take flight. A giant has risen from the water. A large elephant bull has retreated from the scorching sun into the cooling river. Up to his neck in the water, he enjoys the foliage. During dry season, the animals struggle to find water in the surrounding grasslands. But the inexhaustible Nile keeps them alive. Each afternoon, the bull swims to a small island to feed on swamp grasses. Before taking a bite, he scrupulously washes off the mud. Under the scorching sun, time seems to stand still, as if explorers searching for the river's source had only just navigated upriver. The adventurers were looking for Lake Victoria, the largest reservoir of the Nile. It was 1862 when the British explorer John Hanning Speke finally discovered the source of the Nile near the town of Ginger. The famous rapids leaving the lake have long been flooded in order to generate electricity. From the western shore of Lake Victoria, the river travels north through Lake Kyoga and meanders towards Murchison Falls National Park. From Lake Victoria, the Nile descends in a series of steps. Even seasoned local kayakers consider these treacherous rocks and rapids a trial of courage. Nowhere else the Nile is as merciless and intimidating. Kilometers before it reaches Murchison Falls National Park, the river gathers pace. On its flat bed, the Nile transforms into a raging torrent. A rocky island divides the river into narrow passages. 300 cubic meters per second are forced through a 6-meter channel. The passages create two waterfalls, the Uhuru and the Murchison Falls. The Nile plunges 40 meters down. Rocks throw the water back and high up in the air. The Murchison Falls provide a titanic spectacle. Around the falls, a tropical garden flourishes, courtesy of the permanent spray. Murchison Falls are not Africa's largest waterfalls by any means, but they are surely among the most beautiful. The shrill call of the African fish eagle is the embodiment of the wilderness. This eagle sits enthroned like a king above all the continent's large rivers, depicted as a symbol of freedom on the Zambian flag, on the Malawian coins, and in the national coat of arms of both Namibia and South Sudan. The eagle hunts for fish with unparalleled elegance. To the north of the Nile, a hilly savanna catches the eye. It is home to a rare antelope species, the Ugandan kob. In the dry season, all the large herds, whether cobs or elephants, stay close to the Nile. Shy animals, such as the bushbuck, only come down to the water in the early hours of the morning. Bushbucks are solitary animals and will often hide in dense cover and thickets. "20 years ago, there was not much wildlife to be seen. Most large animals were slaughtered during the Civil War of the 1980s, but now the tide has turned. Biologist Tutilo Mutumba researches the progress of the animal population. His team has fitted radio collars on several lions. Tutilo's assistant Sophie tries to locate a signal. Tutilo works for the WCS, the American-based Wildlife Conservation Society. He observes how the prides hunt and defend their territory. The biologists have tracked a large male, less than 20 meters away. They follow 4 prides of lions whose territories are all in the immediate vicinity of the Nile. Sophie and Tutilo estimate that around 130 lions live in the Murchison Falls National Park. It's their last stronghold in Uganda. The biologists spend nearly 8 hours a day observing the lions from their car. This female is enjoying last night's prey, a Uganda kob. Antelopes migrate, so they are a rare feast. The lions, by contrast, remain in their territory. Once the antelope are gone, the lions turn their attention to smaller prey, like warthogs. In the dry season, the sandbanks on the Nile become a hive of activity. The river's enormous wealth of fish attracts hundreds of thousands of birds. Once the water level sinks, many species start breeding. At this time of year, the female crocodiles are particularly aggressive. They shuttle between the cool water and the sandbanks, where they guard their precious buried eggs. They share the banks with a peculiar bird, the water thickney. It nests at the same time right amongst the giant reptiles. Their partnership is a curious one, but thick-knee and crocodile have a common enemy: the Nile monitor. The lizard can grow up to 2 meters and is a notorious egg thief. As soon as the crocodiles leave their watch for the cooling water, the monitor comes out of hiding. A vigilant thick-knee immediately sounds a warning and attacks. The calls alert the crocodiles to the thief. In turn, the crocodiles should protect the thick-knee and its nest. In theory. The Nile monitor smells the eggs and starts digging. Crocodiles have keen eyesight and an excellent sense of hearing. Despite the warning and the obvious threat, the female remains calm. The monitor uses its forked tongue to scan the sand. It is able to detect the tiniest odor particles and find eggs buried deep in the ground. The crocodile has had enough. The Nile monitor waits for the next opportunity, but it hasn't bargained for the thick-knee. Even powerful partners are not always reliable. The female trudges straight towards the nest. The thick-knee tries to prevent the worst. The crocodile has stopped millimeters away from the eggs. The thick-knee seems stunned. Then, the inevitable happens. All the warnings were in vain. One egg is broken. In the end, the smaller partner is still the weaker. The thick-knee immediately disposes of the eggshells and feeds on the remains. Otherwise, the smell would draw predators. At least one of the eggs is undamaged, reason enough for the thick-knee to resume incubating immediately. The thick-knee keeps faith with the breeding ground. Despite the drama, the bird seems to consider being among the crocodiles as the safest bet for survival. The oppressive afternoon heat covers the savannah like liquid glass. All color fades. Not a single leaf dares to move. Only giraffes roam the land of the Nile, as if in a trance. At sunset, brighter colors and a cool breeze return. With the onset of the golden hour, Sophie and Tutilu set out for their night shift. They're on the lookout for a particular animal, the three-legged lion of Murchison Falls. He was caught in a poacher's trap the previous year. Luckily, Tutilu was able to rescue him, but the vets had to amputate his leg. The lion was cared for and treated with antibiotics. He is now reintegrated in the pride, to the great surprise of the researchers who expected him to be banished. Tutilu switches on a red light. The color spectrum is hardly visible to lions, and it won't irritate them. One of the lions has hunted down an antelope. As usual, the boss has the first right to feed. A female approaches hesitantly. She needs to wait until a male has had his fill. On average, a dominant male leads his pride for 2 years. Then he is ousted. In Murchison Falls National Park, this tenure is much shorter, as many animals share the three-legged lion's fate. They get caught in the poacher's deadly wires. It will be a long night for the young biologists. After the lions, they have to look out for other nocturnal hunters. A pack of hyenas have made their home on the Nile. Tutilu uses a ruse to attract and count them. He plays them a CD, which is music to their ears. The call of a buffalo calf. Hyenas are intelligent and suspicious animals. Half an hour passes. Nothing seems to happen in this pitch-black night. But Tutilu feels that the hunters are near. Here they are, torn between fear and greed, looking for a lost calf. The hyena population in the national park is small, and Tutilu wants to find out why. The researchers lack the time and funds to study the animal's social and hunting behavior in detail, but at least they can monitor numbers. With the first rays of light, the nocturnal hunters disappear. Now, the banks of the Nile come to life. Birds, such as the pied kingfishers, take up their posts above the river. On the sandstone cliffs, a colony of bee-eaters begin their busy day. This stunning species is called the red-throated bee-eater. All bee-eaters live in colonies of several hundred. Their favorite spot is a solitary branch. For the birds, it's both a lookout and a meeting place. The bee-eaters wait for prey all day. They catch bees and other insects on the wing and take them back to their nesting holes. In the breeding season, life is busy on the few available branches. Both males and females take part in the hunt. Insects are taken straight to their young. Under the critical scrutiny of its mates, the bee-eater has to finish the job elegantly. Further to the west, the river widens, forming the border of Murchison Falls National Park. At first sight, the banks of the Nile outside of the national park also seem to be populated only by animals. But that is not the case. The water birds have shared the Nile with fishermen and farmers for centuries. The Nile is a laundry for everybody, a meeting place for families and entire villages. Today, millions of people live their life on the riverbanks, occasionally with dramatic consequences for the natural habitat. These water hyacinths originate from Brazil. They were imported as a decorative plant in the early 20th century. Now, they have conquered a whole stretch of the river. The Icornia crucipus, to call it by its Latin name, is pervasive on the Nile. It is nigh on impossible to take a picture of an animal without this plant gracing the picture as well. The Icornia has no natural enemies in Africa. This robust water plant has overrun bays and riverbanks, canals and tributaries from Lake Victoria to the delta in Egypt. In Uganda, there is hardly a place where the hippos do not have to plough through carpets of hyacinths. All around the national park, settlements are being built, increasingly creating conflict. The border of the park is virtually unguarded. There is no ban on fishing. Boats are everywhere. And at night, poachers cross the river and invade the park. The traps are meant for antelopes, but the wire does not discriminate. This trapped lion suffocated in the attempt to secure his freedom. Tutilo has destroyed dozens of traps during the day. He understands the poachers. There is no employment and no support. Fishing or hunting is the only way to secure food. He pulls out a tooth. It'll help him analyze the lion's state of health before his death. The wires are a deadly trap. The harder the animals pull, the more they tighten their grip. The steel wire is strong and unbreakable, even by elephants. This young bull attempts to cool his wound. Dozens of elephants are trapped each year and suffer severe injuries. In this case, a vet will have to amputate the trunk. This giant was able to escape by himself, but his leg is locked. The elephants in Murchison Falls National Park continuously fall victim to poachers and ivory hunters. And yet their population is steadily increasing. In the early 1990s, only 300 elephants remained in the park. Today, their head count is more than 1,000. In the war, soldiers devastated the park's buildings and infrastructure. But now the tourists are back. Wildlife protection is not only worthwhile, but also profitable. To the west of the park, where Lake Albert joins the Victoria Nile, a vast delta expands, covered with papyrus plants. It gives us a glimpse of the boundless wilderness the Nile will soon cross on its journey north. Once it has passed these rapids, the Nile reaches Africa's youngest country, the South Sudan. This country, too, was tied up in a terrible civil war for decades. Sudan gained independence in 2011, but peace is still far away. After these rapids, the Nile changes character, dividing into side arms and transforming into the impenetrable Sud, Africa's largest swamp. The Sud is a wetland that, courtesy of the rainfall, can expand to 100,000 square kilometers. It's a labyrinth of large and small lakes, water meadows, and endless expanses of papyrus. Only one of the many channels is navigable and leads out of the labyrinth in the north. The heart of the Sud is always underwater, even in the dry season. The ground is treacherous, and there is nothing but wind, swaying reeds, and floating grass. The swamp is the domain of the birds. There are no tourists, no cities, and no roads. The perfect wildlife sanctuary. All bird species of the tropical Nile reside here, hiding, breeding, and hunting in the forest of reeds. The Goliath heron is the largest bird in the Sud. He can grow up to 1.5 meters. But the swamp's real treasure is another feathered giant. The shoebill is rare, shy, and elusive. It is a cousin of the pelican, but hunts like a heron from a standing position. Lungfish are among his preferred prey. Several thousand shoebills live in the Sud, far more than anywhere else in Africa. They hunt in the reeds, but build their nests on the sandy banks of the alluvial land. Their offspring must be fully fledged before the great rain arrives, or they'll be swept away by the floods. Only one out of the 2 or 3 chicks will survive. This one has made it, but it will still be several weeks until its first flight. The nests are widely spread and surrounded by water. Even very bold poachers won't venture out here. A parent looks after its charge. The fledgling has just learned to fly. It's ready for the rainy season. As for food, the shoebill faces competition. The edge of the Sud is lined with small fishing villages. These people are called Dinka and have lived in the alluvial lands of the Nile for centuries. The Sud is rich in fish stock. By using the simplest of means, these men catch up to 30 kilograms of fish a day. Catfish, tilapia, perch, and many other species. What the families don't eat will be dried and sold to communities nearby or bartered in the camp. Money doesn't mean much in the wilderness of the Nile. The Nile floods the swamp as well as thousands of square kilometers of grassland. Some of the largest herds of cattle in the world graze here during the dry season. Cattle breeding is the Dinka people's defining purpose, the center of their life and culture. Dinkas are nomads. In December, after the rainy season, the families move into the wetlands, pitch camp and stay there until the Nile floods the pastures again. The smouldering fire originates from the Dinka nomads' camps, from kitchens and burning cow dung. It drives away the flies and other undesirable insects that are attracted by the cattle. The Dinka are the largest ethnic group in South Sudan. The president of the republic and many ministers are Dinka. But these nomads don't think in terms of politics or country borders. It's the cows that really matter. They are their best friends and give milk and more. Not even their urine gets wasted. It is used as a washing agent and for medical purposes. The cattle spend the nights in the camp. In the morning, young herdsmen guide them back to the pastures. A herd consists of 500 cows, sometimes even more. It takes exceptional circumstances for Dinkas to slaughter their animals. They are family members, and they serve as currency and status symbols. As the tributaries and pools dry out, the people go spearfishing. Hundreds of thousands of fish are writhing in knee-deep swamp, caught between land and water. Spearfishing only lasts for a few days, and it's a communal celebration. Africa's greatest opportunists, marabou storks, follow them, waiting for an easy supper. Some fish, they hope, will be dropped or left for them. The Dinka families catch, prepare, and eat the fish together. The children return to the camp, but their days in the Sud are numbered. Rainy season is near, and this place will be flooded within weeks. Even deeper within the Nile swamps, in an area underwater all year round, fishermen have probably built some of the most isolated huts in the world. Their floating homes are 80 kilometers away from the mainland. Only the fishermen know how to get here and back. Near the huts, a family of giants has left tracks in the reeds. A large herd of elephants lives in the Sud, but they are elusive. Only a few people have ever seen them. Around 400 animals move between the shallow sandy islands and the vast expanses of papyrus and reeds. This herd of elephants has survived due to their isolation. As long as they remain amongst the papyrus, they will be out of the poacher's reach. It's in the wetlands of the Sud the Nile hides its best-kept secret. These tracks will reveal a story. The tracks are evidence of one of the biggest migrations in the world. The animals moved to the southeast, to the largest virgin savanna in Africa. When the rains come, all this will be covered in greenery. For some, like this antelope, it's too late. These Mongala gazelles are among the first herds that come from the Sud and move to the new pastures where the rainy season begins. The first rains have fallen. Now the gigantic herds arrive. Tiang are moving through the outback. The largest herds number over 20,000. It is thanks to the WCS biologists that we know of this migration. They spent thousands of hours in the air until finally discovering that the antelopes had indeed survived the war. Even team leader Paul Elkin needs luck to find the most stunning antelope of the Nile, the white-eared cob. The dark brown antelope are the males. Females and calves run alongside them. More than 700,000 cob take part in the migration, a breathtaking sight filmed here for the first time. The biologists estimate that over 1 million animals are part of this migration, comparable to the famous wildebeest migration in the Serengeti. During the war, many species were wiped out or driven away. But it appears that courtesy of their migration, the antelope were able to escape the slaughter. In Bandingalo National Park, all antelope come together. The reserve and the surrounding savanna are as good as uninhabited. Some 40,000 square kilometers of unspoiled grassland. This is unique, even in Africa. The Great Migration is triggered by the rain and the Nile. In the rainy season, the river floods the Sud's vast grasslands. Once the water has receded and fresh grass has grown, the antelopes will return. The nomads and their cattle follow the same rhythm of nature. In the evening, massive plumes of smoke rise from the wetlands. The smoke originates from the camps of the Dinka nomads. It covers the camp like a magical veil. Soon the men and the women will dismantle the camp and move to pastures at higher altitudes. When the heavy rains arrive, the Nile will swallow all traces of the Dinka camp. "1,000 kilometers upriver, it's a different world. This is Khartoum, a vibrant metropolis and the capital of the Sudan. Here, the Blue Nile merges with the main river, the White Nile. The Nile's mightiest tributary ends in the midst of civilization. But its origins lie in a craggy wilderness of rocks and rapids. These rugged, lonely mountains make up the highlands of Ethiopia. Here, the waters feeding the Blue Nile gather, and the river's adventurous descent to the Sudanese plains begins. The Ethiopian highlands are the cradle of the Blue Nile. Without these waters, the great river Nile would evaporate in the Egyptian desert, never making it to the sea. The Blue Nile is born in a mountain range among peaks that rise up to almost 5,000 meters. These mountains are inhabited by some of the world's rarest animal species. Once, the Blue Nile carried fertile soil from these highlands to the floodplains of Egypt, giving life to one of the world's oldest civilizations, the land of the pharaohs. Legends tell that it was the god king himself who summoned the water. The White Nile may have watered the fields, but its fertility came from the Blue Nile. In the Ethiopian highlands, the Simien Mountains rise up like a castle with 1,000 turrets. All the water from these rugged mountains flows into the Blue Nile. It's a paradise for birds of prey, with steep cliffs, warm rays of sun, and strong updrafts. The cliffs and turrets of the Simien Mountains are home to thousands of vultures. The rock faces provide crevices to breed, sleep, and hunt. 1,000 meters up, 2 bearded vultures fight over their territory. They are known for their ingenious technique. To break the bones of their prey, they drop them from height, shattering them on the rocks below. Their young ones have a dark coloring, whereas adult birds have a yellow plumage. The vulture devours the broken bone in one piece. 80% of their diet is this bulky food source. With their wingspan of more than 2 meters, they soar into the skies. The upper reaches of the Blue Nile are home to a unique species. These geladas are close relatives of the baboon and are only found in the Ethiopian highlands. Geladas live in troops, with one male guarding several females and their young. The young males have to fight their way to the top. Only by defeating and chasing away the boss, they can get to the females. These family groups often form large bands or herds, with head counts of 400 or more. The geladas share their habitat with the warrior ibex. This endangered species only lives in the Simien Mountains. They are very rare. Today, only 500 animals survive. Most birds of prey gliding over these mountains are white-backed vultures. Their day begins shortly after sunrise, when the air warms up and begins to rise. Finding food seems effortless. Vultures don't fly, they soar on thermal updrafts, an incredibly efficient means of travel. The steep cliffs offer plenty of food, The vultures feed on casualties such as ibex or goats. This carcass has attracted a wake of vultures. While bearded vultures keep to the bones, whitebacks prefer offal and intestines. The tussle for the best bites continues in the air. The vultures are accomplished flyers, but this attempt to eat the bowels on the wing goes badly wrong. The locals believe the source of the Blue Nile is sacred. They call this place Gish a Bay. A bay is a Homeric word for Blue Nile. The spring resembles a place of pilgrimage. The water is said to possess special powers. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, with its heavy emphasis on the Old Testament, claims that this land was the true scene of biblical events. They believe that this was the Garden of Eden, and the Blue Nile was Gihon, the sacred river mentioned in the Bible. On a clearing near the spring, priests preach and lead the worship. After the sermon, some believers ask to be cleansed with the holy water. The priest expels diseases and banishes demons under the sign of the cross. This young woman's family believes she's possessed by the devil, so the priest uses the holy water to perform an exorcism. The sacred spring is located on a plateau, almost 3,000 meters above sea level. The water feeds into a vast lake. Located north of the sacred spring, Lake Terra collects all the water from the surrounding highlands. The lake discharges into the Blue Nile, which will join the White Nile, 1,750 kilometers downriver at Khartoum. Lined by wetlands and small fields, the shores of Lake Terra are unspoiled by modern civilization and industry. This land of calm waters and papyrus fishing boats has changed little since biblical times. A herd of cattle crosses flooded pastures on their way home. Only the presence of hippos reminds us that this is not the Holy Land. This is Africa. For centuries, the region around Lake Terra has been a stronghold of the Christian faith and a place of legends. Priests say it was here, on the island of Tanakirkos, that Mary sheltered with baby Jesus when they fled from the Holy Land. Legends tell that for 800 years, the monastery here was the home to the Ark of the Covenant, the chest containing the stone tablets with the 10 Commandments. Today, the Ark is said to be hidden in the city of Aksum. The stone tablets play an important role in ceremonies. Each year, the Azua Mariam Monastery on the shores of Lake Tana honors a sacred icon of the Virgin Mary. The monks begin to chant and pray the night before the ceremony. The walls inside the monastery are adorned with biblical scenes, a worthy setting to house precious relics and a copy of the stone tablets. On the day of the festival, hundreds of visitors gather outside the monastery. The Christian faith took root in Ethiopia from the 4th century, earlier than in Europe. Almost half the country's population are Christians, belonging to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. The procession begins. The priests and the congregation leave the building. They carry the stone tablets around the building 3 times, once for the Father, once for the Son, and once for the Holy Spirit. During the procession, the tablets are covered by a blue cloth. The priest carries the tablets on his head during the whole ceremony. Men follow the procession in full, while the women have to turn around after half a circuit. But once the dancing begins, the strict rules are relaxed, and all celebrate together. The Blue Nile begins its journey on the southern shores of Lake Tana. It starts life as a shallow and calm river. But a sudden drop, and everything changes. In the Amharic language, this legendary waterfall is known as Tiz Abe, the smoking waters. From here, the Nile continues its course through a solitary canyon. The Ethiopian highlands are the domain of the farmers. They cultivate each square meter with the simplest of tools. These round huts stand on the Gowassa Men's Plateau. The farmers here have been living in harmony with nature for centuries. The enigmatic Ethiopian wolf is another native of the highlands. Today, it's one of the world's rarest species. It lives here among sheep pastures, villages and arable land, but is seldom seen. But Gowassa Men's is also a conservation area, a successful attempt to create a space shared by humans and wildlife. The shy wolf's territory is protected. Farming ends here, leaving space for other valuable resources. The area provides firewood and wild grass, used to thatch the roofs and produce baskets and clothes. This is the Ethiopian wolf's main prey, a grass rat, a species only found in this area. Despite the name, the Ethiopian wolf is not a true wolf, but a distinct canine species like coyotes or wild dogs. It's estimated that just 800 of these wolves are left. Most live in the Bale Mountains, and a few in conservation areas like this one. An adult wolf is about the size of a jackal, weighing about 20 kilograms. At the den, a hungry pup is waiting. Each young one is a ray of hope for this endangered species. The Ethiopian wolf continues to be put under pressure, as arable land is now extending to the peak region, right into the heart of the wolf's habitat. An animal resembling a jackal crosses the road. But this is no jackal. Incredibly, the camera has captured the African wolf. This species has been a myth amongst biologists for decades. Resembling a golden jackal, he is in fact closely related to European and American wolves. The existence of this distinct species was only scientifically proven in 2012 from DNA samples collected in the field. This wolf may be widespread across North and West Africa, but overlooked from science because of its resemblance to the golden jackal. The scientists' discovery confirms one more distinct species enriches the biodiversity around the Blue Nile. Canis lupus lupasta, the only true African wolf. By annual average, the Blue Nile carries more water than the White Nile, and yet it is considered a tributary. On the first 1,000 kilometers, the river travels through a wilderness untouched by civilization. Over millions of years, the Blue Nile has carved some of the world's longest and deepest canyons. Only a handful of adventurers have risked exploring the river this far. The rocks above the riverbanks are home to another troop of geladas. Unlike the baboons of the savannah, geladas don't sleep in trees. Geladas spend the nights in the safety of the rock faces, but by day, only food matters. They are the only primates who feed exclusively on grass and grass seeds. Grains are high up on their list of favorites. The scouts have probed the terrain and given the all clear. Now the main troop moves in. This gelada is eating teff, one of the regional wheats used to bake popular local flatbreads. At this altitude, nothing grows apart from wheat and beans, so the hungry geladas are not so popular with the farmers. The farmers' weapons are archaic, but efficient. The geladas are familiar with the slings and painful stones and run for cover. Geladas are a protected species. The use of shotguns is strictly prohibited. The animals seem to know it. After only an hour, all of them are back. The males have got a red mark on their chest. In the mating season, it will swell and turn bright red. The men return with their slings, and the game starts all over again. The geladas are safe from humans, but there are other threats. Leopards prowl these mountains too. To protect themselves from these predators, the geladas spend the nights on the steep cliffs below the fields. Shortly before nightfall, they begin their perilous descent. Climbing requires some practice, and this young gelada has still a lot to learn. Before long, it will be as sure-footed as this female with her baby. With the vertical rock face at the top and the river at the bottom, this place is safe. This young climber is still developing its style. Geladas live in high altitudes. Their thick fur protects them from heavy winds and rain, putting geladas among the best mountaineers in the primate world. If the river had a symbol, it would be the gelada, posted like a vigilant guard overlooking the wild canyons. The Blue Nile owes its English name to a mistranslation from Arabic. The true meaning of An-Nil al-Azraq is dark rather than blue river. The waters are colored by the fertile Ethiopian soil that once nourished the fields of Sudan and Egypt. In the Sudan, the Blue Nile enters a vast plain and ends in one of Africa's largest cities, Khartoum. Only a few decades ago, Khartoum was a dusty backwater. Today, the bustling metropolis has a population of 8 million. This is a special place, the merging of the White and the Blue Nile. The Blue Nile bursts from a mountain wilderness. The White Nile surges powerfully from the tropics. But in Khartoum, they meet as tamed rivers. old saying has proven to be true for the land north of Khartoum to this day. Those who stay near the river will not starve, but prosper. 4,000 years ago, the river was the cradle of the powerful kingdom of Kush in the north of modern-day Sudan. Its capital was the ancient city of Meroe. From the 4th century BC, it was ruled by the Black Pharaohs. These small pyramids were the blueprints for the monumental tombs of the pharaohs. Kush was a land equally influenced by the African tribal cultures and the mighty Egypt. Once this city was 20,000 strong. Trade in ivory and gold flourished. Now all that remains in Kush is mystery. Nobody knows what happened or how, but around the 3rd century AD, Meroe was lost in the sands of time. About 6,000 years earlier, an entire river evaporated in the desert. It was one of the biggest tributaries to the Nile and sprung from these mountains. This is the Enedi Plateau, a dry and rocky landscape to the northeast of Chad. The fat-tailed scorpion is extremely poisonous. One sting can kill a human. They are as dangerous as this territory, bordering Libya to the north, and another war-torn place to the east, the Sudanese province of Darfur. It's not surprising to find scorpions in the desert, but these mountains do harbor a secret. The secret is water. Nomads from near and far visit these canyons. There is no water anywhere else. But here, even large herds of camel have enough to drink. There is plenty of water all year round. It comes from natural subterranean caverns. In the Sahara, they call these lakes gueltas. "10,000 years ago, this was a place of subtropical climate. There was enough rain to sustain large lakes. A river sprang from the Enedi Plateau and fed the Nile 1,000 kilometers further to the east. Geologists called it the Yellow Nile. Water and plants are not the only relics from other, more fertile times. There are many birds and even bigger animals. In these mountains in the middle of the Sahara and 1,000 kilometers away from the Nile, you can find crocodiles. These reptiles are witnesses of an age long gone. They are not Nile crocodiles, but the last living creatures from a species extinct in the rest of Africa. At the sandbanks, a black-crowned night heron is hunting. The shallow water is teeming with fish. Fish and plants seem well supplied with nutrients. Half a dozen crocodiles live on the lake, maybe even fewer. This species is destined to be history, just like the Yellow Nile. The Yellow Nile has long evaporated. In the Sudan, they call the river Wadi Hawa. In Arabic, Wadi means dry riverbed. Today, the White Nile is the only Saharan river carrying water all year. The banks of the Nile are teeming with life. Nowhere else can weaver birds find grass for their nests, dust and sand and stones being alternatives. For half of its run, the Nile is a desert river. The tiny rock islands are popular breeding places for birds. The Nile monitor knows this and searches for eggs. The huge granite rocks cause the river to break into foaming rapids. The cataracts of the Nile are impassable for large ships. Once they formed a natural border between the kingdoms of Kush and Egypt. Small villages, date palms and green bushes all cling to the Nile. Like a lifeline, the river carries its water through a world of sand. Downstream from Khartoum, the Nile passes 6 cataracts. The last one cut through Aswan, but was submerged by the waters of Lake Nasser in 1971. It only takes a day to travel from the reservoir to Luxor, the most famous Egyptian city on the Nile. This is the popular image of the Nile, a river lined with palms and toured by feluccas, the traditional Egyptian sailing boats. Generations of peasant families have used this water wheel to supply their daily needs. Powered by donkeys, it's probably one of the last of its kind. Since the days of the pharaohs, wells and canals have distributed the Nile's water to the farmers' fields. Once the river flooded every year, depositing rich, fertile soil on the fields. But the amount of dams on the river has ended the annual floods. Corn, grain and beans are the most important crops. But even the mighty Nile can't feed 18 million Egyptians. The country now relies heavily on imports. 4,000 years ago, when Luxor was still the ancient city of Thebes, the Nile sustained one of the largest civilizations in the ancient world. For thousands of years, Thebes was the center of power. The pharaohs pursued massive building programs. This is the temple of Queen Hatshepsut. All pharaohs constructed their own mortuary temples near Thebes. Their subjects would bring offerings for the deceased soul. The temples and the famed Valley of the Kings were built on the west bank of the river. The modern-day city is on the opposite side. Once a year, Luxor celebrates a festival whose roots go back to the times of the pharaohs. The traditional stick fighting attracts the crowds. Aesthetic rather than violent, the fighting is a reminder of an elaborate dance. Back in the days of the pharaohs, this was a harvest festival. Today, the celebrations are held in honor of a legendary sheikh. Maybe the old Thebes looked like this. The city is decorated to honor a god, but in fact, the people just enjoy a great party. On the eastern banks of Luxor, they praise Allah, while the ancient god kings sleep across the river. "62 rock tombs have been discovered so far on the West Bank. This one is among the most magnificent, the tomb of Pharaoh Ramesses VI. The tombs were palaces for eternal life. The hieroglyphs, the decorative paintings, and the elaborate sculptures are the remnants of a highly sophisticated civilization. When the goddess Nut devours the sun disk, night falls. Her body is the heavens. She is part of the Egyptian creation myth. Modern science tells another fascinating story. Researchers believe that rather than on the green banks of the Nile, the creation myth was born in the heart of the desert. "700 kilometers from the Nile, in the middle of the Sahara, archaeologists have unearthed the remains of a Stone Age civilization. People once bred cattle here. Today, it is one of the most arid places on Earth. And to get here takes traveling through incredible landscapes. First are the stunning garden of limestone sculptures in the White Desert, 400 kilometers west of Cairo. Continuing southwest, signs of a different time are found on the borderland between Egypt and Libya. These earthen jugs were used as water depots in the times of the pharaohs. Here, caravans would take a break. The wind is a master carver, creating works of art in the rocks. In Egypt, these structures are called the Red Lions. Geologists refer to them as yardang. They only occur in deserts, where the wind blows permanently from one direction. It's hard to imagine any life here, but these grooves mark the falling water levels of a lake north of the Gilf Kabir Mountains. Once this land was inhabited. Since then, it has been transformed beyond recognition, but some traces still survive. This clue is more than 10,000 years old. A herd of giraffes chiseled into the rock. During the artist's lifetime, giraffes would have roamed the valleys of the Gilf Kabir Plateau. Once the mountains were surrounded by vast grasslands. When the rains came, the rivers and lakes filled with water. "10,000 years ago, the climate was like modern-day East African savannas, while the Nile was surrounded by uninhabitable swamps. It was a boom time for life. Everywhere was lush and rich. Then, around 7,000 years ago, the conditions became hotter and drier. Humans and animals were forced to leave their home. The inhabitants of the Gilf Kabir moved east towards a more promising future. In the famous Fajini Mestakawi cave, researchers discovered the origins of ancient Egyptian mythology. The artists have drawn a headless animal eating a human, one of the ways the ancient Egyptians imagined the journey into the afterlife. Another painting depicts animals wandering through a long-lost savanna. These hands could be signatures or graffiti left by pilgrims visiting this sacred place. In 1933, in a neighboring wadi, the Hungarian explorer Laszlo Almásy discovered a secret hidden within a cave, suggesting that once this arid land was blessed with water. It's called the Cave of Swimmers. The vegetation in Wadi Hamri proves that deep underground water still runs through the valley. Tamarisks, among the toughest of all trees, sport green leaves despite the drought. Locals say that rain falls only once every 7 years. Long before the sand swallowed the grassland, the people from Gilf Kabir had settled on the Nile. Their wild desert gods traveled with them, merging into the Egyptian pantheon with numerous other deities, and the god king, the pharaoh. While the cave artists drew the sacred animals of the savannah, the hieroglyphs show the fauna of the Nile. Wadjet, the patron goddess of Egypt, is depicted as a cobra, a common snake along the banks of the Nile. In Egypt, a particularly dangerous species of cobra is prevalent. You can find them in the fields and canals by the Nile. Here, within view of the pyramids of Giza, is the hunting ground of the Tolba brothers. They are snake hunters. Their family has been in the business for more than 200 years. Cobras mean good money, up to $50 per snake. The brothers are looking for the legendary Egyptian cobra, the species Cleopatra allegedly used to commit suicide. The local farmers fear the cobra because it hunts by day and its bite is fatal. The Egyptian cobra preys on amphibians and rodents. Life-saving anti-serum is made from the cobra's deadly venom. The Tolba brothers sell it to the manufacturer. It's a lucrative but highly dangerous job. The brothers learned their trade from their father while still in their cradle. They know exactly what they're doing. The snake calms down quickly in the dark sack. The Tolbas take it to their private zoo. Anywhere else, the Egyptian cobra would be less of a threat, but it lives in the delta, the most densely populated part of the Nile Valley. Beyond Cairo, the Nile splits into different branches, like a fan. Only 2 of them will reach the Mediterranean Sea, one in the east at Damietta, the other in the west at Rosetta. Alexandria is the unofficial capital of the Delta. The city is Egypt's largest seaport. Alexandria has a population of over 4 million, but they look out to the Mediterranean rather than inland towards the Nile. Thousands of people earn their living by fishing. The fish are caught near the coast, where the fresh water from the Nile meets the salty water from the Mediterranean. These fishermen work from historic soil. Once the large harbour was lined with magnificent palaces, the homes of Caesar, Mark Antony, and Cleopatra. In the 8th century, the ancient harbour and the monuments sank into the sea. It's thought an earthquake was to blame. In the early 1990s, the French archaeologist Frank Godillot started to explore the ancient harbour and salvage the treasures. The sunken city walls and the harbour remain submerged, but the salvaged artifacts are now exhibited in a museum. The world's longest river officially ends where the Canal of Damietta empties into the Mediterranean Sea. Near the mouth of the Nile, fishing boats lie anchored, as they have done for centuries, ready for the next trip out to sea. In the course of the Nile's journey, half of its water has evaporated. The source and the mighty mountains of East Africa feel like many lifetimes ago.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Terra channel so you don't miss our next documentary.